have. How many of you still have stockings? Everybody? I have a stocking, all right? And how many of you as children found an orange in the toe of your stocking? All right? And how many of you found a coin in the toe of your stocking? You did both, Lori? Oh, you had a wonderful family. How many other people found a coin? You did too. So just the two of you and nobody else. Everybody else was oranges. I was an orange. My husband, who's asleep in the car, was a coin. Oh, is he in on the couch? Are you there? He was a coin. Our first Christmas Eve, I told him when we were married. He's heard this, so he knows. I told him when we were married, there's one thing. I have to always have a stocking at Christmas time. This is very important, and my stocking can never contain toothpaste, toothbrushes, anything practical like that. No, nothing like that. My stocking has to be full of wonderful, wonderful things. So he said, that's fine. He was very amiable. So on Christmas Eve, I gave him my stocking, and I had his stocking. They were actually my mother's old ski socks because she used to do a lot of skiing. And and I said, and here's your orange. And he said, and here's your coin. Here's your quarter. And I went, no, it has to be an orange. And he said, no, it has to be a quarter. And we fell to fighting. And we had our first fight over what went in the toe of the stocking. Because I didn't know then, and I didn't know until many years later, that we were fighting about exactly the same thing. That orange represents St. Nicholas's bag of gold. And every one of you who's had an orange in your stocking has been touched by St. Nicholas and his story. That coin represents St. Nicholas's bag of gold. Now, the first group, before the sailors, before the fishermen, long before the children, the first group that ever adopted St. Nicholas as their patron saint, as their patron. Can you guess who that was? Think about St. Nicholas's 3 bags of gold.
I said farmers, but...
Farmers? No, not farmers.
Bankers.
A kind of a banker. A kind of a banker. Think 3 golden balls. Pawnbrokers. When you pass a pawn shop and you see those 3 golden balls, those are St. Nicholas's 3 bags of gold. I doubt to this today that there are many proprietors of pawn shops who know that that represents St. Nicholas's 3 bags of gold. And what that would say to you as a potential customer who couldn't read or write was that because St. Nicholas, because the person who ran this shop was under the protection of St. Nicholas, that you could trust this person and feel comfortable dealing with him, that he would treat you fairly. So to this very day, St. Nicholas's 3 bags of gold are still used as a symbol, and one that's recognizable the world over, not as belonging to St. Nicholas, but as belonging to pawnbrokers and people who deal in money and coin. Now, how do you celebrate for St. Nicholas Day? Why not? 3 oranges, 3 bags of gold in the center of the table. That's all you need for St. Nicholas Day. Right there. You've got the whole story. So, Mom, how come we've got oranges in the middle of the table? Can I have one? No, not till morning. And how come you've got gold coins sprinkled around there? Well, and then you can tell the story. Now, for kids, for children, this is the best book. This is a wonderful book. It's called The Real St. Nicholas, and it tells the story of St. Nicholas and has a lot of the St. Nicholas stories in here. This book, which came out and I think is still available and in print, and as this is still available and in print, This book, The Real St. Nicholas, Tales of Generosity and Hope from Around the World, is a wonderful read about St. Nicholas. There is no need to be a devout Christian to learn about St. Nicholas and the effect that he has had on people down through the centuries. And just to give you a little bit of a hint about what the different stories that you will find in this book, the one that touched me the most was, and part of the introduction, is directly related to the attacks of September 11th in the World Trade Center in New York City. You all know that New York City was once called New Amsterdam, and it was founded by the Dutch. And it was the Dutch that brought St. Nicholas to the New World. He came with them. He didn't come with the English. He came with the Dutch. And down in the Battery, the area that the World Trade Center was built in that lower tip of Manhattan, was where the original city had been, the original New York City before it stretched up. And that's why the streets are all still crooked and twisty down there. It's a wonderful place to wander around. There's been a lot of changes, and the Dutch, there was a little church there dedicated to St. Nicholas. It's the Church of St. Nicholas, and it's about a block away from where the World Trade Center was. The day after those towers came down, the day after that attack, the country of Russia, whose patron saint is St. Nicholas, was the first nation to make a major donation to our devastated New York City. And they made it through that Church of St. Nicholas, and because that little Church of St. Nicholas was there. That church was damaged but not destroyed in that attack, and it became the staging center for all kinds of rescue teams and all kinds of rescue things that went out. So he's still there. He's still there. It's pretty wonderful. Okay. Next on, if you want, this is fascinating, and I brought this just so that you guys could see it, because this is this cool, and I think you would all be fascinated. I don't know if you can still get this, but my husband gave it to me a few years ago. It's called the Santa Map, and truly, truly, it just takes you around the world with all the different kinds of gift givers and the history of them, and with all stories. Here's Bishop Nicholas here. St. Nicholas is still so important to so many people in different parts of the world. This book is part of a series that Time Life did that is very hard to find, but it's a series well worth having in a school library or well worth having in a home. It's called The Enchanted World, and this is the Christmas book of The Enchanted World. With 1989 that Time Life did this series of books. There's one on fairies and fairy lore, there's one on Christmas, there's one on Halloween and ghosts. It's myths and legends from around the world and retold in absolutely the best way. And the research, the bibliography in the back is impeccable. It's a marvelous series, and I would encourage you to look for it. I'm going to have to pack these books up tonight because I know you have to convert to kids' crafts in the morning, but they'll be in Debbie's car, and if anybody wants to look at them, I'm happy to bring them back because there are some wonderful, wonderful books here. This book is called The Dance of Time, and as far as I'm concerned, of all the books I've read about the calendar and how the seasons are still the underpinning of our lives. The seasons, we live in the seasons whether we know it or not, and this is the story of the calendar, the seasons, and all the traditions that go with each season that we may or may not recognize or celebrate, but are still there for some people in some parts of the world. It's a fascinating and beautiful and enchanting read, that book. If you are interested in New England and the fact that at one point, for actually a very short period of time, Christmas was illegal in New England. It's only about a 20-year period. It wasn't very long. You got fined 5 shillings if you were caught celebrating Christmas.
What period is that?
That was the first time that Christmas was mentioned as being. The Puritans didn't approve of Christmas. They didn't approve of Christmas for a whole lot of actually pretty good reasons, and so. In Plymouth Plantation, Governor Bradford has a notation in his journal that on Christmas Day he found people reveling. They were not only not working, but they were playing games in the streets and drinking a wee bit too much and just having a high old time. And he promptly sent them back to work. He said, no, we don't do that. We are Puritans. We do not do that. And according to this book, the Puritans didn't actually object to a private celebration or a private observation of Christmas Day, but what they objected to was the out-of-control festivity and that went on and had gotten pretty raucous. And
they weren't into Black Friday. They weren't into Black Friday.
No, oh good Lord. I would love to know when Black Friday got its name, Black Friday. I'm afraid that rubs, every time I hear it, it rubs me the wrong way. Now we have Cyber Monday. It's like, okay, I give up. But this is a fascinating read on Christmas in New England and how it was and was not at the same time. And one of the arguments that the Puritans had, which was a very valid and real historically based argument against Christmas, and was that, Christmas didn't exist on the Christian calendar until the 3rd century. At Christmas, December 25th, was indeed the birth of the sun, but it was the birth of the sun whose name was Mithra, who was a Persian god, who became the favorite god and patron of the Roman legions. And the legions worshipped Mithra. The Christian mothers and fathers of the early church, and there were mothers in the very early times, the mothers and fathers of the very early Christian church made a conscious decision that in order to help their religion grow, their particular philosophy take root and grow, that they needed to adopt some of the dates into the Christian calendar that people were already celebrating, so that the celebrations could automatically, for those who converted, they could still celebrate, but they would celebrate under the auspices of their newest religious philosophy rather than the older one that they had left behind. And so nobody knew. The date that the baby Jesus was born was never recorded. Nobody had a firm date, not even the early mothers and fathers. They decided that since the entire world was celebrating on December 25th, that's when they would this was the official celebration of the baby Jesus. And it all grew from there. But it didn't happen until the 3rd century. And the Puritans knew that and said, you know what? This isn't even a valid date. so that's. But this is a fascinating little book. And for those of you that are interested in this aspect of Christmas, you get it at the American Antiquarian Society in Worcester. So it's a pretty.